Alright, so this video is about abandoning Chulane, but before I do that I need to talk about why I thought about building him in the first place. The idea started with Karrthus, Tyrant of Jund. The idea was I would have Karrthus as a decoy commander and air support for elves. Okay, so far so good. The real idea of the deck was that with Alurin, let me get down here, Alurin, I would start playing elves for free, and I would have different draw effects, such as Vanquisher's Banner, whenever a cast creature of the chosen type, obviously elves. Go up here, Beast Whisperer, or even, where the hell is she? Leaf Crown Visionary. So I would have any of those in play, any of those going, even a Glimpse of Nature. So I would have effects where I'm drawing, whenever I cast a creature, ideally I would draw at least 2 cards a turn. So multiple of these draw effects. The idea is that I would just, and Concordant Crossroads is also important to consider. So I would just machine gun my deck onto the table. So if I have Alurin and 2 draw spells, so I throw out Elves of Deep Shadow for free. I draw 2 cards. Hopefully I get another elf. I play Elvish Visionary. Play her for free. Draw 3 cards because of her ability to. Hopefully get another elf. What actually happened is often I didn't get my draw engines in time, so I'm kind of stuck, or I wouldn't have very many elves in my hand. So I would want to play an elf for free, or play an elf, draw cards, and then I would get stuck. I would hit a land pocket, I would hit a series of sorceries, I would hit a few instants, I would hit some artifacts, enchantments, I would hit things that are not elves, that do not keep the draw engine going. And in the meantime, doing all this, so if you look at the creature base, you can see they're not threatening. They're mostly mana elves, small creatures, little effects here and there. And the problem is, if you're playing a commander game, if you have just a few small creatures, you're not a threat, but you're not doing anything. You're just sitting there. If you have too many small creatures, you become a potential threat because your opponents do not know what you're going to do with all those small creatures. They don't know what you're going to do with a Priest of Titania and 6 elves backing her up, for example, and so they start suspecting the worst, start attacking you, start killing your creatures, and since they're small, they're not that hard to kill. So you get start getting hammered. The backup idea of having Karrthus as a air support, as a 3-hit commander in the air. The problem with that is your opponents see it coming. So they either make sure they have flyers to block him, or they just kill him. So either way, you don't get ahead. So it became incredibly frustrating to play. I realized my core idea of trying to get at least 2 draw engines, enough elves to feed that draw engine, dump my deck on the table for a massive alpha strike enabled by Concordant Crossroads, giving all the creatures haste, or at one time I had a Chroma's Memorial in here, backed up by, if nothing else, just the elves to give other elves +1/+1, but ideally a coat of arms. So dump a bunch of elves onto the table, give them all haste, alpha strike everybody. I thought that would be fun, and it doesn't work for the reasons I've outlined. I have a video where I explain more about why I took apart Karrthus. I'll link that in the description below. So what happened is, in that video, in the comments to that video, some of the lads started saying, well, why don't you just play Chulane? Or if you want to do Jund, why don't you do Corvold? And I thought, I've never really read those cards. So I started thinking about Chulane. What does Chulane do? So I looked it up. Wow, okay, so it would take me out of Jund and put me into Band, which I don't really want to do because I already have a Bant deck, Rafika the Many Enchantments. But this guy? Okay, so he's a 2/4. Vigilance. Yeah. Never cast creature spell, draw a card. And then I could put a land, untapped, onto the battlefield? Wow, okay. So he does exactly what I want the deck to do. So he's in the command zone. I don't have to go digging for him. I don't have to jump through too many hoops to start the draw engine going. I just need to get Chulane in play, have counter magic, have something to back him up, have ways to protect him, go find the Allurin, and just go to town. Because when I hit those land pockets, I can just play those lands. It's perfect. And then I started thinking about it. So this is how I would have built Chulane without thinking too much about it. This is kind of the first draft, kind of the first iteration. And don't worry about the cat. He just wants outside. He cries like a little bitch sometimes. So here's the creature suite. I've got Beast Whisper still. Basically, I just took all the elves from Karrthus, and I took out the ones with black, like Elves of Deep Shadow, Gliss of the Trader, took them out, replaced them with some other elves, put, for example, Clan Collar. But otherwise, it's basically the same. Added enough creatures to buff it up. So, thought Collector Oof, because I only have one artifact with an activation cost in this potential build. Still have Copper and Scout. Still have Eladamri. And then, there's no white creatures, but for a bit of blue disruption. Okay, how about Manowar? How about Mystic Snake? How about Fencer? So if my opponent casts a spell that I can't counter, well, I can just put it back in their hand and worry about it later. How about Plax Manta? So whenever he comes into play, creatures I control gain Shroud until the end of the turn. And yeah, if I don't spend green, if I play it for free with Allurin, I'm not spending green, so I have to sacrifice it, but so what? I'm going to do an Alpha Strike. So you can see almost all the creatures fall under the threshold of Allurin. Most of them are 3 mana or less. So Chulane hits. First few turns, play some mana elves, you know, that sort of thing. Get set up. Play Chulane. Go find, with Light Tutor, a Daedalic Tutor, or just get lucky and draw it, Allurin. Play Allurin. And just start playing creatures for free and lands for free. Drop either Beastmaster Ascension, Chroma's Memorial, Coat of Arms, something. Once I have a critical mass of enough creatures with enough power behind them, put down one of the 2 haste enablers. Okay, so Chroma's Memorial, creatures get flying, first strike, trample, first strike, haste, black, protection for red, all kinds of stuff. But haste. Concurrent Crossroads, all creatures have haste. So put down one of those 2, because I will draw onto it if I'm drawing my damn deck. And then drop either Coat of Arms or Beastmaster Ascension, which is not going to be that hard, because if I'm playing creatures for free and drawing cards because of it, every time I hit a land, I just play that land. So I will build them enough lands to cast Coat of Arms. If I get Beastmaster Ascension down, just the first attack will trigger the condition, because if you attack in one go with 7 or more creatures, go away. If you attack in one go with 7 or more creatures, you get the 7 quest counters, and all your creatures get 5/5. So it's not, you can only put 1 counter each turn, which is neat. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about Beastmaster Ascension. A little bit of disruption with Winter Orb. As I said, Collector Oof only shuts off Skorak. So I started looking at this and I thought, wow, I could really do it. I could really just dump my deck onto the battlefield, have some counter magic backup, negate Mystic Snake up there, Memory Lapse, Venser Shaper Savant, Arcane Denial, Unwind. Because if I kill everybody in one turn, I don't care if they draw extra cards. I don't care if they're going to get that card back with memory lapse because it goes on top of their library. I even have thought about biomass mutation. So if I've got a shitload of mana, I can just give my creatures, let's make them all base 10/10. But then I was thinking about it, and I thought, it's going to work. That's kind of the point. I know it's going to work. He's going to do what he does reliably, predictably, efficiently. And I realized that's not going to be very much fun, not only for my opponents, it's not going to be fun for me. And then I realized really what I liked about the idea when it was Karrthus is the chase. The can I get going this turn? Can I play enough creatures with some draw effect to do something this turn to put threats on the table and matter in the game and attack with doing some damage? Attack with some kind of change in the game state as far as the life totals go. And the tension of me not being able to do it and me doing it is really what was fun about the deck. Yeah, the cat, he just wants out. He's just going to keep crying. So I don't want to build Chulane. I don't want to do this. No, I hear you say, okay, we'll take out the tutors. Make it so you can't find a Lurin. Take out a Lurin. But that's not why I want to play the deck. I want to play the deck so I can just machine gun, toss my deck onto the table, have a broad array of creatures, and attack in mass in one go with this instantaneous horde. That's what I want to do. So if I weaken that, it's not going to be as interesting for me. So I've decided to abandon Chulane. I'm not going to finish this. I'm not going to build this. And that might sound odd, that the reason I'm not going to do it is because it's going to work. But that's the thing, it's going to work too well. Plus, if you look at this deck list and you look at my Edric deck list, they're kind of the same. So basically, he's some kind of smash up of Edric and the old Karrthus build. So I was kind of disappointed to realize I'm not going to do this. It's not going to be fun because I was really excited about the idea. I was really looking forward to it, but I stopped short of actually purchasing a copy of Chulane. I have almost everything else I need to build this except for Chulane, and I'm glad I didn't buy one prematurely. I haven't given up on the idea of the elves, though. I have another idea for an elf commander, some creature that came out in Murders of Karlov Manor, but not part of the main set, as far as I know. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you will see it when I present that deck, because I've finished it. So instead of Chulane, I'm taking my elves and putting them under the command of somebody in colors I've not played in a long, long time. So there we go. That's why I am abandoning Chulane, giving up on the idea, and putting it to bed. Cheers.